Hey guys, how we doing out there? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineups for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And before I proceed any further with the videos, guys, I would appreciate a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel or never been here before, never seen any of my videos, please subscribe now below. Okay, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. This way you do not miss any of my daily uploads. Alright, with that being said, guys, on the screen here I want to show you I had a very nice night last night. DFS Zone, your boy Manny, cashed in on the after hours GPP. Scored a 377.50, ended up tying for first place with about 11 players. We all walked away with $3,980 for coming in first in a 11-player tie. I also finished in the same tournament in 36th place and won another $78.41 with a 365.90 score. It was a great night. Two of my studs came through in the from yesterday's Stud 5 list. I had 3 studs and 2 duds, but the 2 studs made up for it, and I am very pleased that I had them both in the after hours event and they came through. You know, when I have nights like this, it's definitely fun, you know, to be watching the game, guys, and you know that you're in the running, you're seeing yourself, you know, creeping up, and you're like, wait a minute, all of a sudden I'm in 300th place, all of a sudden you're in 100th place, and then when you start seeing that you're getting into the fourth quarter and you're in the top 20, 30, you know you have a shot. You know that you at least have a shot, and this is why I say, guys, with a 300 score or better, you always have a chance. The last time I cashed at least $4 was about 7-8 weeks ago in the same after hours event, and I finished with a 331 score. So I mean, and I was able to tie for third. This is a tie for first with a 377. This was a monster night because I mean, guys got Bledsoe, Middleton, Kuzma, and Nurkic. They all had big nights and they put up some large numbers, and that's the reason why this game got up to the 377 mark. But I am glad to be a part of it, and this is the fun thing about DFS for me, is that I get to be a fan and get to see these exciting games, which I had said on my video yesterday. I told you guys, watch out for the games that mean something to certain teams. The Lakers are almost near a 500 team. They're young. They're exciting to watch. I love watching them play. I like that team, and I like Coach Walton. And we knew that Milwaukee's battling for that 7th and 8th spot. They're battling back and forth with Miami. They're right there. They need to win. All these games are playoff games for Milwaukee. And they came through. Overtime game, they came through. They had a 20-point lead, and they almost blew it. But man, thank goodness for that comeback from the Lakers, because that helped me out a lot. I had Josh Hart on the team. He was a big plus. And then I had Kuzma on that team, and he was a big plus. Nobody had Kuzma. It was only 27% owned, as you can see here on the screen. So he was big, as well as Josh Hart and Middleton being only 37%. Those guys were the key guys, of course, of Aminu, you know, for Portland in the Portland game. But this was great, man. This is what it's all about. So again, guys, you know, and when I have nights like this, I will share with everybody, because I think it's important that if I'm going to put out videos every day and give people Stud 5s or give them my opinions and my suggestions on what I think is, you know, in play for the day, or what I think, in my opinion, are the best plays of the day, you know, out of my pool of players or whatever it may be. I think it's important that when you have some sort of success, you share that. And I know there's some out there that do it, and there's some out there that don't. But from day one, since I started doing videos a couple weeks back here and having the channel, I've always shared any of my winnings, even if they were only $10 or $20, because a win is a win. And if a 300 score, which I preach, that's like kind of like my motto, you know, score 300. I have the 300 DFS Zone 300 Club, I call it, and that's what it's all about. It's about 300 or better. If you score 300 or better, you have a shot every given night to cash. Now, don't get me wrong. There's people, and there's been times, many times, where I've cashed a few bucks, $10, $20 with a 370 or with a 270, 280 score. It happens. I've seen people win $20,000 on the after hours with a 299 or a 304 score. So it happens. But again, you know, when you have a night like this and you get over 300, it's very exciting. It's really great. I've been doing well. Major League Baseball first day out, I made $150. You know, I only made like about 8 lineups, and I only spent, I think it was only like $30 or $40 in the lineups, and I did well. So I mean, I'm cashing, and that's what it's all about, and that's what I think everybody is definitely shooting out for. Every day I'm shooting for the whole 9 yards. Don't get me wrong. GPP plays, couple cash plays. I play a couple small little tournaments, you know, like the 100 player ones for $5 and try to win 100. I mean, you know, you gotta take, I play a little bit of everything. Let's put it that way. But I'm not a shark. I'm not gonna make 50 lineups. Here I only made 2 lineups. And goes my entries. I made 2 lineups. All right, and that's it. That's all I did, and I was able to cash in, $4,058 for the 2 lineups. So that's not bad. But again, I will share those things with you as we go. Anytime I have good nights, even when I have bad nights, I sometimes show you the scores. Even if I have a bad night, I tell you, oh, last night I didn't cash. I've told you that on video. So I'm genuine. I'm going to definitely tell you, what's true and whatnot, because it's only fair to be truthful. And at the same time, it's always nice to always share when you cashed in well, like I did last night. So I'm going to gun for it again today with the NBA and MLB, and be on the lookout later on for that MLB video I will have for the late night slate. And like I said yesterday in the video, I plan to do with the MLB is I plan to give you guys some insight on the late night games and maybe some of the middle games, as well as the slate games, and that's what I plan to do with NBA going into next year. Now that I'm new to YouTube and all that is, and I will have obviously a website I'm working on right now, and that's going to pertain basically to MLB. When that is out, I will share with you guys who are subscribers and who are my followers on IG, on Instagram, the same thing. But by the time we start the NFL season, NBA season for 2018 later on this year, there will be the website will have for all 3 sports. I will be sharing a stud 5 or a stud 6. You will get at least that much out of it, and you will get obviously a list of pool players that I'm definitely focusing on, and I'm going to just target it straight down to the main 2 or 3 nitty gritty of each position. And this way you have you will be just looking at that set 25 or 30 players or less to make decisions on for your lineups, but you also have that 5 or 6 key players, those core players that I'm going to share with you. This is again for Major League Baseball. When it's ready to go, I'll let you guys know. For the time being, I'll give you a stud 5 for Major League Baseball, and for the time being, I'll continue to do a stud 5 for the NBA for the remainder of the year. Today, because of only a 3-game slate for the evening, which I'm aiming for the evening games, I am not going to have a stud 5 for you guys today, because obviously it's very minimal games. But I will give you my insight on what I think are good plays in every position for tonight, guys that I'm looking at to target and that you guys should be looking to target, and then of course be able to go over a little bit with you with some of the key games that should be important today, because there's only 3 games. There's only 1 game that's really key important, and there's only 1 other game which is going to be a little exciting, and that team is in a playoff hunt, which I will discuss with you in a few moments. But let's go over the stud 5 first from yesterday. I'm just going to read them out to you. I'm not going to flip onto the other screen, because this screen here does look fantastic with a $377.50 and $3,980 as a winning token to me. I'll take it, and so I'll leave that on the screen as we discuss this before we go into the key players that I'm looking at for today. Stud 5 yesterday, I did have Mr. Bledsoe. He is actually on this screen here. Thank you, Eric. You had a heck of a game. Continued great success for you guys in Milwaukee, and we'll see how you guys do in the playoffs. He had a 63.6 total fantasy points. He had 15 field goals, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals. Those were big, and 7 3-pointers. My boy got busy. All right, great job, EB. Next on my list was Rodney Hood. I expect him to put up. He was pretty much at value. Put up 21-4. He had 7 field goals, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and he had 2 3-pointers. That's basically all he did. I was hoping that he would be, in the 25 to 30 point range for the day. I really thought he was in my eyes, he was in position for that, but it did not happen. It's okay, kind of like net value. I don't consider him a dud for the day, so far 2 out of 2, not bad. My first dud for sure was Mr. Covington. I was really surprised that Robert Covington did not have an excellent game yesterday. He only put up 18.5 fantasy points, 4 field goals, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, 2 3-pointers. That's it. Very disappointing, but I'm not going to go any further. Hey, it happens. I haven't hit 5 for 5 in about 4 or 5 days, and I still had 2 studs come through for me last night. So hopefully they came through for you guys as well. Mr. Davis, AD, man, 38.1 fantasy points. He was undervalued by 25 points or so. I mean, 6 field goals, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He didn't have the kind of game. I mean, I don't know. I didn't check out the game at all yesterday. I mean, I'm so consumed with baseball, and I was getting the MLB video out, and I got that out pretty late to you guys. And it's a lot of work putting in the time to do the research and make decisions not only for the games that I'm gonna target and play myself, but at the same time narrow it down to the players I think that are gonna probably give the best success to myself and maybe to my viewers. But Anthony Davis, definitely a dud, biggest dud of the night yesterday. He underperformed. It came, way undervalued, and very disappointed. But I've not had a lot of disappointing times this year with AD being in any of my lineups, so I would just, chalk it up as a loss for the night with him, and just move on. Mr. Joseph Nurkic had a great night, 55.9. He crushed Val. He did what he had to do. 9 field goals, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 3 free throws. He only had, I think, 2 turnovers and 1 turnover. He had a great overall game for Portland. Portland is really coming together right now. They're going to be very dangerous in the playoff, guys, for that West and for the teams out in the West. So look out for the Trailblazers. I really like them. They're going to be definitely dangerous. All right. So with that being said, let's move on, man. I'm going to go here to the lobby. Let's go into today's slate, and let me just go over with you some guys that I think are good plays today. I'm going to choose one here, Maine. I would do it all day, but I'm not. Like I said, I'm just going to go over. Let's try this 5K for $44.44. Hey, I'm in there, man. I play these as well, guys. I play these. I'm real, man. I play them all. 5K. If I can go for the 15, 20K, I'll do that. I set up lineups and pretty much everything. Okay, so here we go. We have Toronto and Boston, Brooklyn and Miami, Golden State, Sacramento. Only a 3-game slate. I'm going to go over some of the guys I think are worth taking a look at today, and I'll give you some numbers, and we'll take it from there. At point guard. Now, first things first, before I go any further, the 3 games today is obviously the game of the day is Toronto versus Boston. Boston is only like 2 or 3 games back from Toronto. Obviously, they're playing at home. This is going to be playoff atmosphere. These guys are going to want to go at it. Even though they don't got no Kyrie Irving, they still got Mr. Rozier. They got everybody else. They did get Jaylen Brown back. They got Tatum. I think Marquise Morris is still out, so I mean that's a big blow for them. Hey, Boston's going to compete, man. They got good coaching. The players all, they just all brought into the system. They all defend. Boston is one of the top defending teams. This is going to be another, tough, close game. And it's going to be some of the key guys that are going to come through. So this is a game that you want to target, guys, okay? You want to target this game, and you want to get at least 3 or 4 players out of this game, or maybe even more. And then build that around the other 2 games. Quick little tip right there. That's the way I would look at it. Out of the remaining games, Brooklyn and Miami is probably the most intriguing game because I don't see this being a game that I'm like, I'm dying to go and tune into the channel and check it out. Even though you never know here, but with KD back and Draymond Green playing as well, this should be definitely an easy victory for Golden State. Sacramento, like I've said in previous videos way back, they're one of those scrappy teams you just don't know. They play hard at home and they're very scrappy. So they get down and dirty and they hang in there and they're tough when they want to be. So you never know. But with KD back, even Clay more than likely playing today, I mean, I just don't see it. So I'm not targeting a lot of guys from here unless I see some value out of what I choose from here. So Brooklyn and Miami, I think it's the second most enlightening game here because Brooklyn has had Miami's number. They have beaten them and they have played close games against them. So Miami at home should be a lock. But Brooklyn, they got those scrappy guys too, man. Think about it. Crabbe, Carroll, LeVert. I like all 3 of those guys. I mean, Hollis Jefferson, they're all balling right now. These guys are playing games. They're losing games by just a few points. Sometimes they're in games and they fall behind and they come right back. This is an up and down team, but this is a team that loves to score points. And when they need to defend, they defend. Carroll and LeVert and Crabbe have been pretty decent defenders, and even Jefferson for these guys. And that's why Brooklyn, in some of the areas, they are pretty solid. So this is going to be an interesting game. I like a couple of guys from the Brooklyn team, and I do like a few guys from Miami. But I will share that with you guys. So again, just target these games, okay? So let's start here at the top. We'll go to point guard. All right. Out of the guys in the top, obviously Lowry is in play. But at 8.3K, and Boston being the 7th overall defensive team against point guards, I can't see myself buying into 8,300 for Lowry. Not only that, he scored a 43-60 fantasy point game against Boston. Okay, the last time he was out, but his value then was 7K, so he crushed value. Okay, this is about what he needs today to cover value. At 8,300, you're going to need him to score about 46, 47, and I just don't see it. I don't see. Excuse me, 40. He needs to score about 42, 43. This is going to be tough to do. He's going to have to repeat what he did in the last game against them, which he did, and we know he did it. But he's going to have to repeat it again. And at this value, I'd rather pay for Rozier or even Dragic or Cook, who will be my 3 top choices here, guys. And I'm going to share with you. Okay, let's go next to Rozier. Rozier he's valued at 6.2K. Toronto is 19th overall. Okay, 6 out of his last 7 games he has hit value. Had a 57-50 on the 25th versus Sacramento, and Sacramento is 20th overall ranked in defending the point guard, and they're facing the 19th rank, which is only 1 level lower in Toronto, and he put up 57. So I say he's in play simply because of statistically the defending team. They're pretty much ranked almost the same as the team he last faced that was in 20th, which was the Sacramento Kings. Okay, now he hasn't had many opportunities, against Toronto. I'm going to look at it real closely even further here right now for you guys. Rozier against Toronto. His last time out, he put a 34 spot in 24 minutes, and that was back on February the 6th. He had 18 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. He hit 4 or 5 from 3. He was a little bit below 40% shooting, 5 of 12. His usage rate was 29. He did very well that game. He was valued at $7,000 then. All right, he's only $200 more now. So Rozier to me is in play. I like him. He's probably going to be in one of my lineups. All right, he's probably one. Goran Dragic, 7.2, same price as Rozier. I would think he's the second best choice here in the slate. And we'll take a look real quickly at Mr. Dragic. Okay, Brooklyn is 28th ranked overall, okay, against point guards, and that's why I would think he is the front runner just on statistics. Brooklyn, right now, let me tell you, Brooklyn against point guards, they are 28th overall. They are 30th in fantasy points, 25th in fantasy points per minute. I have them at 17th in rebounds. They are 16th in assists, and they're dead last in field goals converted, meaning that they have given up the most 2-point shots against point guards. So, and Dragic is not the greatest point guard in the world, but he's in a good position. He has 7,200. I would take a bite on him. He has had a 29, 28, and 37 in his last 3 games against Brooklyn. He only was valued at $37.90. He crushed value that game. He was $6,400 for that game, but at $7,500, which was a higher cost for him on January the 19th, he was below value by 8 points. He only scored $29.80, and he was projected to put in $37.49. So Dragic definitely has his up and downs against Brooklyn, but I think he's in play today, guys. I think he's in play. I like Rozier so far the best. Then my next guy for sure, I'm only looking at 4 here at point guard, will be Mr. Quinn Cook. Okay, Quinn Cook with no Steph, right? Even though Clay is coming back, he's going to get some shots. He's going to still get some shots. He's going to obviously lose some of his shots, but Sacramento's 20th ranked. He has had 6 out of his last 7 games he's hit value, of course, with no Clay and no Steph. His last game against Sacramento was just about 2 weeks ago on the 16th. He scored a 42.30, and he was valued. His price then was only $3,800, and he's still right now he has pretty much almost double that, as he has 6,002. But 6,200, you got to get about what 31, 32. If he gets the minutes, I see him being able to meet that. Okay, if he gets the minutes, we don't know how many minutes Clay is going to play. Right now, it's not for certain, guys. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 as I'm recording this right now, and we still have Clay as a game time decision. I think The last report I have is that he is definitely probable, so chances are he is. But he's probably going to be in a limits minute. Not only that, you're playing against Sacramento. If you get a 10 or 15-point lead, you don't see him playing a whole lot. I still think that Mr. Quinn Cook is going to get still a lot of time. So, I mean, those are the guys I'm looking at, guys. I'm looking at Dragic, Rozier, Quinn Cook, and Lowry. Lowry will probably be the last bet simply because Boston's defense is so good. He has hit value, Lowry, in 4 out of his last 5, but his last game against Boston had a 43-60, like I mentioned before, but he did that with a price of $7K, and he's now up at 8,300 today, so he's going to have to put up that 44 again today at that price. I don't know if he can duplicate that. If I'm going to choose anybody from Toronto, it's going to be a shooting guard. It's going to be DeRozan. So we're going to go now to the shooting guards. Like I mentioned, shooting guard, I definitely still favor DeRozan as one of the guys here. He's the top guy here at the Fanduel, 7,900 value. His salary price. DeRozan has had Boston is 3rd overall in the league. Okay. Defending against shooting guards, so it's going to be tough for DeRozan as well. Boston's 13th in fantasy points. I have them 12th in fantasy points per minute. They are also, what are they, 15th in rebounds, 3rd in assists, which is pretty darn good, and 29th. They really struggled. They're near last in the 2-point conversions. So that's where Boston is actually 11th. So they're not near last. It's just Toronto that's near last. Sorry, I apologize for that. But I mean, DeRozan, I would say DeRozan is in play. For me, DeRozan is in play. If I'm going to choose anybody from Toronto, it'll be DeRozan over Lowry out of the 2 main studs they have. He has not hit value in 4 straight games. He had a 32-20 his last game, just under value, a 20-90, a 24-90, 2 duds in a row, and then a 31-10. So he needs to get it going. But against Boston, he had a 30-60 and a 33-60. His last 2 games out, they were just undervalued. But he did have 2 monster ones prior to that, which was a 53-50 and a 59-60 against Boston. But those were about a year ago, February 24th, more than a year ago. So he hasn't had great success against Boston this year. But Toronto, if they really want to put up a stand, as a fan, they need to step up, because they have always, every year at this time of year and going into the playoffs, they always stumble a little bit, and this is why they get eliminated out of the playoffs in some years. I know last year they went pretty deep, but they need to step it up. These guys like Valanciunas getting more minutes, and of course these 2 studs really stepping up. They really need these guys to continue to play well. They're a well-coached team. Toronto is very nice to watch. They're a well-coached team, but they always seem to have tough time against a good defensive team, and this is where Boston could be a problem for them. But we'll see. This is why we play the games, and this is why, as a fans, we want to watch them. So, and DFS players, we want to try to get the best possible matchups and the best possible players that we can put on the line in our lineups every day. So, I mean, I would say DeRozan is definitely in play. I am considering him. D'Angelo Russell is my next guy here on the list, and I like D'Angelo Russell at 7.4K versus Miami. Miami's 22nd defending against shooting guards. He has had 4 out of his last 5 games. He has hit value, and then his 2 previous games versus Miami, he's had a 44 and a 51-70 game. Okay, he had a 39-70. He had a 39-70 in his last game against Miami. But that was about a year ago. He hasn't played against them in quite a while because obviously he was hurt. And he hasn't been in the lineup when they have played Miami. So it's been over a year, but he's playing so well right now. D'Angelo Russell, let me pop him up here, get a little bit more. He has had value 1, 2, 3. He's in value 4 out of his last 5 games, like I mentioned. Against Miami, he did play only 14 minutes the last time he played against them, and that was back on actually the 19th of January. So it must have been a game that he probably got hurt. 14 minutes, he missed all 5 shots, and they just didn't even put him on the floor. He missed all 3s. But prior to that, he did have, his last game was last January, the 2017. He had a 39 spot. I just like the way he's just playing as of late. He's getting the minutes, 29, 26, 31, 28. He's now playing the point. He's kicked Dinwiddie out, and now they got Crabbe and LeVert pretty much playing shooting guard, and Carroll small forward. I kind of like that lineup. They've been playing really well. I like Russell today. At 7-2, I think he's someone that you can consider. I think the best play of the day is Buddy Hield, 6,100. I like Buddy here against Golden State. Golden State is still pretty decent. They're 10th overall against shooting guards. They're 23rd in fantasy points, 18th in fantasy points per minute. They're 10th in rebounding, 16th in assists, and 20 in 2-point field goals made, which is obviously not a good spot to be in with Buddy. But Buddy has had 7 out of his last 10 games. He has hit value, and then in the last 2 games versus Golden State, he's put a 36.90 and a 31.60. So he's actually done very, very well against Golden State. And with Clay coming back today for the first time, possibly to defend him, I just don't know. I am not convinced that Klay Thompson will be able to stop Buddy today, at least not the way he's been playing in the minutes he's been playing. He's been playing about 30-plus minutes a game. 30, 25, 25, 28. So, he's a little up and down. That's a little scary there looking at that closely now. 25 minutes. But he's put up 20 points, 14, 21, 16, 20. I mean, he's putting points on the board. He's getting shots. He's taking about 14 to 15 shots on the regular, on the average, over his last, looks like his last 10 games, 11 games. So he is integral. That shows you that he does get floor time. That is also showing you that he does get hit shots. If he can get 15 and he can hit 9 out of 10 out of those 15 shots, he's going to do very well. I like Buddy today. I don't know. I do like him. Someone to consider. Karis LeVert is another one I like. Karis LeVert has had, he's valued today at 5.8. Miami, of course, as I mentioned before, is 22nd against shooting guards, so they're down there in the bottom half. Hasn't hit value in 1 out of his last 5 games, so he's definitely been struggling there, but he's getting the minutes. His last 2 games against Miami, he's put up 35-30 and 35-50. Both Brooklyn wins. That's why I mentioned before that Brooklyn has played Miami tough and has won pretty much 2 out of the last 3 meetings. So this is why I think this game is interesting, and I think you got to look at some of these players. I like LeVert here for the Nets. I also like D'Angelo Russell, and I also like in the power forward, in the small forward position, I like Carroll and Crabbe, those guys as well. So any one of these guys with Brooklyn, if you get 2 of these guys on your lineup, I think you're going to be okay today. So I like Karis LeVert. Who is left here? Klay Thompson is coming back today. At least he's probable. Sacramento's 12th overall defending against shooting guards. And, overall they're 15th in fantasy points, 20th in fantasy points per minute. They're actually number 1 against rebounding, which is very surprising. Assists ratio, they're 9th, which is pretty respectable, and the 2-point conversion, shots, they're 23rd, so definitely in the bottom half. Definitely an opportunity for Klay. He's had his last previous games before getting injured. He had a 32 spot and a 31 spot, both just about value. His last game against Sacramento was back in February the 2nd. He played 35 minutes, a lot of minutes. He had 8 or 12 shots. He made 4 out of his 8 3-point shots. He had a total of 20 points. He finished with 30.70 fantasy points, just above value. And he did do a 35 spot with a 7K price range back on November the 27th, just around Thanksgiving time. 32 minutes. He had 21 points. He had 5 of 12 threes, and he was very inefficient with both, as he would only hit 5 of 12 from his threes, and he only hit 7 of 20 from his field goal shots. So he definitely struggled a little bit there, but he still put up 35. He could have easily hit 40, 45 if he would have hit more of those shots. So, it all depends how many shots he gets. I don't know if he's going to play 30 to 35 minutes today in his first game back. It's not necessary for him to do that because he needs to just work his way back in. I'd say he's only going to do 15 to 20. At least that's what I'm thinking, and especially if this game gets out of hand, which can happen with KD back and Mr. Green playing. They got enough offense there. I don't see him playing a whole lot of minutes. So I'm not on Klay today, but I say he's an option at 6,000. What is that? 6,700. Yeah, I'm just not. I personally would not. Jaylen Brown right now, game time decision with the toe. I am not on Jaylen today at all. I think Dwayne Wade is a possibility. If you're interested in Dwayne Wade, I think you can play him. but I'm not too sure on him. Brooklyn is very, very good. 10th overall in the league, with a second in fantasy points, number 1 in fantasy points per minute, number 1 in rebounds, number 2 in assists, and 10th overall defending the shooting guard with 2-point shots. So I mean, they're very, very good. So I don't know. I'm not on Wade, but again, those are the plays I'm looking at. I think that the guys in play for sure are D'Angelo Russell. You definitely can go with DeRozan, Buddy, and Karis LeVert, and basically that's it. Maybe you could look at Wayne Ellington. If you need to get value, I think you can get it out of Ellington. I know he gets sufficient minutes. He definitely plays his share of minutes. Yeah, he's getting over 20 minutes a game. So Ellington is in play. He might be somebody I may consider. Small forward. Let's move along. The video's getting very long. Durant definitely in play. Josh Richardson, 6.6K. Brooklyn is 11th ranked against the small forward. They're pretty good there as well. Like I mentioned before, Brooklyn is not horrible everywhere. 5 out of his last 7 games, he has smash value. His last game versus Brooklyn, he put up a 34-30, but he did that with a value of 6. So now with 6'6", you need 34, 35. So you need 35 points, let's say. So you got 35. I don't know. He put up 34. Yeah, I guess they jacked up the price because he put that number before. We'll see if he can do it again. I say he's in play. I like Josh Richardson here. So it's something to consider there. Josh Richardson. Tatum, I'm not too fond of Tatum. He has not had success against Toronto. Toronto is very good defending against the shooting guard. They're 3rd overall in the league. They're 2nd in fantasy points. They're 2nd in fantasy points per minute. 12th in rebound, 5 in assists, and 9th in field goals made. So Tatum will have a rough go. And not only that, Tatum has not had in his last 2 meetings against Toronto, he had a 4.20 and 1940 for value points for his fantasy points total. So very, very ineffective. I mean, anything can happen. Sometimes you go by these stats, you're trying to say to yourself, hey, you know what, it's not going to possibly happen, but Jason could just go off today. You never know. I'm just not feeling the situation with Jason Tatum against Toronto. I know this game is big, but I don't think he's the one who's going to step up and have the big game for Boston, so I'm not on Jason. Damari Carroll, definitely Damari Carroll is someone that I would consider. 6,200. Carroll versus Miami. Miami last 2 games has hit value. Last 2 games versus Miami, he put up actually his last game against Miami, he put up 42.70 points, and that's that's pretty darn good. I mean, if you ask me. So he has played well against Miami, at least as of his last game. In Miami, Miami's like number 2 in the league in defending the small forward, but he has had a 36 and a 37 his last 2 games. And then against Miami, his last game against Miami, he put up 42. He had 26 points. He shot 9 of 12 from the field, which was very, very efficient. He actually had 3 of 5 3-point shots, and he was on the court for 30 minutes. So Mr. Carroll had an awesome game. I like Mr. Carroll today. Someone to consider, definitely. Mr. Crabbe, also another Brooklyn net. Yeah, Alan Crabbe as well. I would consider him. He hasn't hit value in his last 2 games, but he did have a 22 spot against Miami in the last game, and he was only valued at 4,700, 26 minutes. He wasn't as effective with his shooting, 2 of 9, but he has played really, really well as of late. I mean, really well as far as minutes and giving quality time on the court. 30 minutes, 27, 28, 28, 27. He's getting the minutes. He's just had a couple of games where he didn't shoot well. His last game he shot 5 of 14 and 3 of 8 from 3-pointers, and he only scored 13 points. But he would have smashed that value against Orlando if he would have hit half of those shots, half of his threes, and half of his field goals. He would have been in good shape. So, but I like Carroll and I like Crabbe today. I do like also Joe Harris of the Brooklyn Nets. Harris, someone to consider. He's also on my player pool here. His last 3 out of 4 games, 25-10, 43-40, 31-70. He did have a dud against Toronto at 7.6, only played 19 minutes, but the other games, 26, 27, and 23 minutes. And then his last meeting against Miami, he put a 13.70, just met value at 3,800. All right. But the previous game before that, in December, that was in January 19th, and then on December 29th, he put up a 2640 smash value there. He was valued at $3,500, so it was a bargain. They project him to have about 13, 14 points. He put up 26. He had 21 shots. He hit 7 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 4 from three-point range. And then, of course, as we all know, if you really are following the NBA, the guy has played well in his last few games. 26 minutes, 27 minutes, 19, 23 minutes, 11 points, 7 points, 30 points, 14 points. 2 games ago, he had 11 of 14 from the field and 6 of 7 from 3. He was totally on fire against Cleveland. 4 of 4 from the floor and 2 of 2 from the three-point line. In his last game against Miami, crush value was projected at 16 and hit 25. He had a 25 spot. So Mr. Harris definitely at 4,000. What is that? 4,200. Man, shit. He's at a good price. Power forwards. We're narrowing it down here, guys. Power forwards. Got a couple plays here. Obviously, Draymond Green is in play. Why wouldn't he? He has hit value in his last 2 games, but did not have, did have a 53 and a 50 point in the last 2 games previous. His last game versus Sacramento, he had a 50 spot, and with 14 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, almost a triple-double, 4 steals. Man, I think he had 2 block shots. He just went off. He's capable of doing that again today, and if it happens to go that way, obviously Golden State is going to win, and not only that, this game is going to end up being a little bit of a blowout. So that's the only thing I'm scared of, is the blowout here situation. But Draymond Green at 8,600, I think he'll be able to get close to that. I think it's a little steep. I mean, he needs to score about 44, 45, and the average is 36. I don't think he's hit 44, 45 on a regular basis. Yeah, he's capable of it, and we all know he's got the upside to hit 50 to 55. I just don't know. I would say, hey, yeah, if you could get him in your lineup, why not? If I'm going to choose anybody from Golden State, I'll probably go with KD. If I'm choosing a Golden State player for one of my lineups, it's going to be KD. And if it's not, it's going to be KD and maybe Quinn Cook. That's the best I can tell you. All right. Hollis Jefferson, definitely in play, 7.2K. Miami's 22nd overall, defending against power forward. Hasn't hit value in 6. Has hit value in 6 out of his last 7 games. Had a 25 spot, 32 spot in his last 2 games against Miami. So he's done okay against them. He's actually playing well. He's getting the minutes, 33, 32, 29, 30, 37 in his last previous 4 or 5 games. And against Miami, he had a 25 spot and a 32 spot, both slightly undervalued. All right, 32 minutes in the last game, but 22 in the previous game. I think right now he's playing well, and not only that, the team as a whole, even though they don't show it with the wins and losses, Brooklyn, the games that I've quoted from Brooklyn, they've been all pretty intriguing. Most of the time this year they have played competitively, and if they fall behind, they always make a little run and they make it interesting. So I don't know, man. I think this game is going to be another close game. Miami could easily wipe these guys. I could be totally wrong. But something just tells me that Brooklyn is going to hang in there, and this game is going to be fairly close. And especially if Jefferson, Carroll, and LeVert, and Russell play well, and they hit their shots, this game could be very, very close and competitive. So I would say Hollis Jefferson's in play. I'm definitely considering him in my lineup, as well as Mr. Kelly Olynyk, who's been totally on fire. Kelly Olynyk, Brooklyn, he has had like 11 out of his last 13 games. He has been hitting value like crazy. His last game against Brooklyn was back on January 19th. He had a 24-50 just pass value by 2 points. Didn't have the same amount of minutes he's getting now. It was 22 minutes. Now I think he's averaging more, closer to 25 and 30. Actually, his last game only 17, but the previous game 25 minutes, 32 minutes, 29 minutes, 41 minutes. He's been getting it. If he's hitting his shots and he's playing well and the flow of the team is going well, Kelly Olynyk is going to be on the floor. He's going to get floor time. He's going to get shots. And in this game, he's going to have to, because Brooklyn is pretty decent, in rebounding in the front court, with Hollis Jefferson there, because he's willing to battle, So Olynyk is going to get his chances. James Johnson in play as well, but I'll like Kelly more than Johnson. He's playing just a little bit better right now. Marcus Morris. It says here Marcus Morris is good, huh? is not on the injury report ahead of Saturday's game. Okay, so Marcus Morris is in play. He hasn't played in 2 out of his last 3 games, but he played his last game, on the 26th, 23 minutes, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 25 fantasy points. I mean, a little bit more than a point a minute. Not that bad. I like Morris here. I don't have his full. Let me just. I'm gonna pop it in right now as I have you guys here. Okay. Against Toronto, against Toronto is definitely hasn't had good numbers. A 13 spot, a 12 spot this year. Last year, a 17 spot and a 9 spot and a 21 spot. He has not hit value or come close to value in 5 straight meetings against Toronto. So Marcus Morris has his hands full today, and that's because you got to deal with Ibaka, who I think is in play today. I mean, Ibaka, I would tell you to definitely consider Ibaka. All right, Serge Ibaka, 38 in his last game against Boston. He's only put up 11 and 20 in his previous 2 games. I don't know. This is going to be a tough one, guys. I would say here there's going to be a couple of key guys, and then you look at maybe 1 Golden State guy, and you look at maybe 2 Brooklyn guys and somebody from Miami. Basically, that's it. Get 4 maybe players out of the Toronto-Boston game. That's what my recommendation, and then build the rest among Brooklyn and Miami, maybe getting 2 or 3 guys totally from there, maybe 2 Brooklyn guys, 1 Miami guy, or 2 Miami guys, 1 Brooklyn guy, or 2 and 2, and then getting that 1 player from the Golden State Sacramento game, which to me, if you could squeeze in and get KD in there, KD would be the best bet. KD would be the best bet. All right. Power forwards, other than Draymond, Jefferson, and Olenek, Scal's in play, and Ibaka's in play. All right. Let's look at Scal here for a moment. Scal, Golden State is 18th overall. And, he put up a 27 spot. He met value in his 2 out of his last 3, in his last 3 games that he's played against Golden State. He's put 27, 19, which he hit value because he was valued at 3,500, so he smashed value. And then he was a 4,300 value, and he hit 34 on the previous game before that, which was last March, almost a year ago. So he's done well. His last game was actually the 16th of this month. They won the game 98 and 93. They beat Golden State. So Golden State's going to even want to get back at these guys today. And that was at Golden State. Golden State has payback now going to Sacramento. And I think they're going to do that, especially now that they got Green back and Mr. Durant and maybe 15-20 minutes of Mr. Thompson. So they're in trouble. But Scal will have to definitely rebound. He's a rebounding guy. He's going to have to rebound and put up some more baskets. So I think he's in play with a price of 5,300. I think he can cover that 25, 26 you need, 25. Kevin Looney with no Draymond Green. Now if Green doesn't play a whole lot, this game gets out of hand. Then I would say Mr. Looney has a shot to get more time. I mean, he's been fantastic. He's 6, 7, 8. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's had about 8 straight games, where he's just crushed value. So, I mean, I think he is in play as well. And then we go right over to center, guys. Not a whole lot there to center to discuss. I mean, I would say today, just there's only 3 guys I'm looking at. Whiteside definitely, because Brooklyn is just, horrendous against centers. They're like pretty much dead last in every category. So, I mean, I would say, definitely you got to consider that. I mean, Brooklyn is 30th overall against centers, so they're the worst in the league. They're 30th in fantasy points, 30th in fantasy points per minute, 27th in rebounds, 29th in assists. I mean, it goes on and on. They're just really, really bad. Whiteside's coming back. He got to get back in rhythm, get things going. He's probably going to get maybe 20, 25 minutes here, and that'll be enough because Brooklyn doesn't have the kind of guys up front that can defend against him. And not only, I think his last, 32 minutes, he lost that game, the last game he played against the Nets. Last 2 games against the Nets, 51 spot back in January. He had 22 points, 13 rebounds. He had 4 block shots in 32 minutes. He's going to have to play about 20, 25 today. Maybe they're going to bring him in slowly. I like him better than Valanciunas today because Boston is very good against centers. Not only that, Valanciunas is just, they don't use this guy enough, man. I mean, he is good, but look at these minutes, 21, 20, 22. He's still putting up crazy numbers. If you're going to put up those numbers, that's fine. he's definitely going to be value, at 7,000. Yeah, I would say he's in play, guys. I just don't know if I'm going to play him today, but he is definitely in play. There's not a whole lot. He's either Whiteside, Valanciunas, Mr. Stein today, or Mr. Monroe. Monroe has had he had a 34-20 in his last game. 6 out of his last 6 out of his last 8 games he's hit value, and in his 2 games against Toronto he's put up 37 to 33 in 25 to 30 minutes. Now, if they have these same numbers, they're going to use him a little bit today. I could see Horford starting at power forward and maybe Monroe going to center, or maybe having Mr. Bain start and then Monroe coming in just shortly after. But Monroe's going to get minutes. He's gonna play, and he will have to. They're going to need him going down the stretch here. 23, 19, and 20. I see him in play. So I mean, so guys, that's basically it. Mr. Stein in play, 6,600. His last 2 games he's had 34 and 32, as you can see here. He had a 25 before that. He's hit value in 3 out of his last 6 versus Golden State. And his last 2 games against Golden State, he had a 27-20 and a 32-70, just slightly under value. So he'll be close to value in this game. Especially Sacramento can stay close. If not, they're gonna just sit him. So if it gets too out of hand, you can't. But I mean, those are the guys that are in play. I would say Whiteside is the best option at center, and then I would definitely either consider Monroe or Valanciunas if he could get the minutes. But that's what I'm looking at. I'm not too fond of Stein or Horford, but they are plays. These are all plays, guys. Just that's my opinion. That's what I'm recommending to you guys. So pretty much a little bit of everybody. There is 4 or 5 guys each in play. I got to put a team together. I've done already a couple of lineups. Again, because of the small lineup, I'm not giving you a stud 5, but I would, hopefully this is helpful for you to sit back, and for those that don't have the time to do the research, have an idea more or less what guys have done. You can always look at the video again and write things down. Yeah, those are the guys I'm looking at, guys. Those are the guys that are in my pool for today. So I mean, again, guys, I wish everybody a lot of luck. Again, man, if you're new to the video, please, I appreciate a like. If it's your first time here, I appreciate a like. And if you like what you see and you want to definitely follow, please subscribe. So this way you will be able to get these uploads regularly. I'll have a stud 5 again for the next big lineup for basketball. Hopefully tomorrow, Slate. I'm gonna come back with a Major League Baseball video very soon. For today's evening slate, and good luck to everybody tonight. God bless, and your boy Manny is out.